Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 200.
Yeah!
Wow.
Hi, listener. I'm
Wow.
excited. Are you?
I hope... Oh, we have two listener now.
Hello, listeners on Twitch. Hello, listener, the person that is listening to our podcast individually before showing it to a friend who will also listen to it individually, and then the chain will go onwards.
That's basically... It's not a pyramid scheme. It's
It's a multi-level marketing.
a multi-level marketing scheme.
That's all podcasts are. It's multi-level marketing. It's 200 episodes. Really excited. We're also going to be doing the Modis a little bit later. But
I'm so
beforehand, we want to tell you about Patreon. And Eric is going to tell you all about it.
I am Well, actually, no, I'm going to hold off on this. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. Carbitrage. I don't need to tell you that because you're listening to the damn podcast right now. On Patreon.com, you will find two open-ended levels of support for content consumers like you, the listeners, to support content producers like us. Head on over to Patreon.com/Carbitrage. Get yourself signed up, and we will give you some swag and our undying eternal gratitude.
And the occasional hello when we open up our episode.
There is that.
I do say hello to patrons as well. Hello, patrons.
And, I mean, we originally just had it where patrons would be allowed to submit private topics for our consideration, but really anyone can do that now.
Yeah, we're expanding what patrons can do.
Greener pastures, new horizons.
Now-
Moving on to the beer segment, you brought beer this time.
I did. I brought some Spotted Cow.
And what a beer.
It is a perfect cream ale. So
It is.
there we go. Oof. Nice crisp opening. So I gave you the colder can
Thank you. Ooh.
because I know I can accept this beer at just below room temperature. And I wasn't sure if you can. So, but yes, it's time for the Modi Awards, which
Hey,
are
the
our
Modis.
yearly awards we've been doing. This is the third year we've done it.
I can't believe we've been doing this podcast legitimately for almost 3 years.
Yeah, I know, right? That's awesome.
That's low-key ridiculous.
Can't believe I've had this garage for 3 years.
That's the real low-key ridiculous thing.
Right? I think we started like a month or two after I got the garage. It was pretty
Yeah,
quick.
you got the garage, and you're like, I want to do a podcast. And I'm like, I want to do a podcast.
I'm like, I'm in! Let's do it!
So,
and then we got snowed in.
Yes, we did.
Was that year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was only like a month into it then.
Yeah, we were still motor cult.
That was fun.
So, anyway, we
I'm
are
excited for the Modis.
the Modi Awards. We do every year. We have a handful, which are audience-selected ones, and then we have our own little things that we do ourselves. Username is Carbitrage Podcast. I've also got it pulled up here on my phone as well.
I'll just hand this to
Thank
you. Not giving...
Actually, you would probably be able to guess it, but
blocking the camera so they couldn't see you typing. Go ahead and save that. Sure, why not? Okay, all right.
there we go.
Now, let me bring this up on this here television.
So, question one that we asked the audience was the car of the year, in which we had 20 people answer.
Wow, that's actually impressive.
Yeah, because, I mean, I put this up yesterday, so I waited till the absolute last minute.
I don't think I can get rid of this sidebar, so
It's
you'll have
okay.
to bear with me.
Don't even worry about it. Actually, you can scroll.
Aha! Oh,
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 nope.
no, you can't.
nope. Thank you, Web 2.0 or whatever the hell this is.
So, our car of the year
Yeah, what were the options?
options, the 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage. The
Oh, what a
2020,
great car.
Yes. The 2020 Fiat 124.
Also a great car. Corey bought one.
Yes. The 2020 Aston Martin Victor.
Awesome car, manual transmission. Awesome Cosworth
Indeed.
V12.
The 2020 Toyota Camry TRD.
The best possible thing you could get from Hertz.
Yes. The Toyota Yaris GR.
Just best car.
Yeah. And then the Chainlane Amica.
Oh, what an adorable little, just trying boy.
Yes, it is. Now, for our responses, let's see here.
I'm not blown away by this, but I'm impressed that we got votes for every one of these.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know, right?
Should have had a Modi figurine made with the winner carved into belly fat.
Maybe next year.
No GMA T50 was sad. Yes, the Aston Martin Victor is so similar to that concept. We could have done a slash or whatever.
Yeah, but I wanted to do the Victor because
Only six cars.
Well, I also previously said that the Victor was like the peak of human development as far as like aesthetics go. Like, it's an absolutely gorgeous.
And it's a
vehicle.
car you could actually potentially buy. Whereas
Yes.
the GMA T50 is millions of dollars, and you have to be invited to buy one.
Yes, and this one they made one, which you could buy.
Yeah.
Uh,
And if you didn't, it sucks to suck.
yeah. However, let's do our top three.
All right.
So our third place is actually a three-way tie between the Mitsubishi Mirage, the Victor, and the Camry TRD, which is amazing.
Tells you how good all those are.
Yes. Actually, I'm sorry. Your data is more recent than my data. I am wrong. In fact, the 2020 Mitsubishi Mirage is in third place for
Oh, you're
the
right.
car of the year.
Excuse me.
Second place goes with the Fiat 124, edging it out by a solitary vote. And then first place goes to the Toyota Yaris GR.
40% of people voted for the
Yeah,
Yaris GR.
that was a overwhelming landslide for the GR.
And it makes sense. It's
It's a great vehicle. So.
$30-something thousand car, which is probably the best thing to be produced, not only in 2020, but potentially bookending years, too.
Yeah, I think so. It's just the best thing to be produced.
So what were our picks last year? We did the Mark V Supra and the Mirage?
I think so, yeah. It was a Mark V Supra and the Mirage, and I threw out the Mirage because you can get with a manual, unlike the Supra, and everything else kind of sucked.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, for the next question is going to be the most exciting car announcement of 2020. Our choices were the BMW i Division, the Polestar lineup, the 2021 Toyota Sienna, the Nissan 400Z, and the Toyota Corolla GR. And absolutely nobody cared, except for one person, about the BMW i Division, because it got one solitary vote.
I did not vote for that, but I also voted for one of the least popular things here.
The Polestar lineup?
I did vote for the Polestar lineup.
I
Bless you.
I think I actually voted for the 400Z.
That's a cool car, and I
Yeah.
like the Chen photography photos
Yeah.
of that. Those were beautiful.
That was actually
but-
the photo I used in the questionnaire.
I voted for the Sienna.
And actually,
Weird, why?
That-
Why?
That
because,
puts us-
like, I mean, I have the first generation Sienna, and it's officially getting
Second.
you have the second generation.
Oh yes.
You have the first modern
I had
generation.
the first
Yeah,
gen.
you have the first modern Sienna.
So
yeah.
I had the first gen growing up, and then the second gen is officially getting titled over to my name next week, and my mom has the third gen, and I love like seeing what's coming up with the Sienna because I think will own every single one of them, just because. I mean, the first gen, my mom daily drove that with, from Bloomington to downtown Minneapolis, and
Both
hauling
suburbs
around-
of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, she drove it like as you
A
would use a
lot.
normal car and put on well over 200,000
And road tripping
miles,
a lot with 2 children, and then my
And apparently
dad,
did not change the oil ever.
No, and when they did, they went to Jiffy Lube.
and then my
And the
dad,
timing belt was never touched.
Toyota V6's timing belts are optional.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they are.
Yeah,
and then my
seriously.
dad used the first gen as a work vehicle for a very long time, and then we sold it after that, after like 2 lifetime uses basically.
It's probably still alive
And
somewhere.
it's still
Oh, yeah.
somewhere, like,
It's like all the old Toyota pickups after the plumbing company's done with them. They ship them over to Iran or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They have another 300,000 mile life.
Is it technical? Yeah.
yeah, so, like, it's just, they live, like, 3 lifetimes. I still see first-gen Siennas, so I'm excited
They're
to
like
see.
cats.
You hear them first because every one
Yes.
of the flex pipes are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's a
I'm,
1MZFE. Ah, it's a Sienna.
Yes, that's how you can
so
tell.
I'm just really excited to see what they do with the 2021 Sienna, because I didn't even know that it existed until I took this survey.
And then you saw it, and you go, wow, that's actually
Yeah.
very cool. You got actually excited at that point in time. And that was actually third on our list for our top 3 for most exciting car announcements.
Minivans are always a good choice.
I also tried as hard as I could to skew this and actually shared this in the van culture group.
And it worked against
It
me.
actually worked against me because I started voting for everything else. So
Well,
that's-
they look at van people are big brains, so they look into it like, wow, what's this? Click. Oh.
well, they probably also knew about it, so
That's
they're
true.
like not excited. So,
Yeah.
however, the Nissan 400Z ended up coming in second place, which is another shock to me.
I see that.
I was even with the Larry Chen photography, like, header image on like everything else being just whatever promotional images.
Right.
Yeah. So I have no idea. I guess it's the fact that it's a Nissan and nobody really has any faith in them. Nobody cares about Nissan anymore.
I mean, it's
a
cool car. I mean, you get the twin turbo V6, which is good, and it hasn't broken yet. So apparently, they're pretty decent.
It's not even out yet, and they haven't broken it. So
manual
it's pretty
transmission still thing is good.
Yeah.
Rear wheel drive is good. I think is it 2+2 or is it 2-seater?
I think it's a 2-seater.
That's one downside, but
They might add a 2+2. They've done that previously.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, okay. It's a good car.
However, it is just barely edged out by a car that is rightfully in first place, the Toyota Corolla GR.
Now, I haven't done much looking this year on the Corolla GR.
It is all-wheel drive turbo. Uses the Yaris GR powertrain, if I'm not mistaken.
The 4-cylinder one or the 3-cylinder?
4-cylinder.
Okay, so
I
it
think
uses
it's a
like the
4-cylinder.
Euro.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually really cool. So it's gonna be like an actual hot hatch, like.
Oh, Corolla hatchback.
Yeah.
I should have voted.
5-door.
I should have voted for that.
Yeah, that's very, very cool.
Although I like the Polestar, whatever.
And also, they announced for 100% for sure that it's coming to America, like as I put this live. So that's probably why it like blew up so much. Yeah, I know, right? Eric is shaking with anticipation.
Thank goodness we have a table between you and I.
So we were. I didn't want to talk about the bad things in 2020, and usually half these questions are me, shitting on people for being stupid in the car world. Like usually there's at least one question about Mary Barra. I decided instead to make a humorous question: what car best sums up 2020? And our options were a Copart.com Volkswagen Touareg. What could possibly go wrong there? An Acura Integra with a single red cam D-Series engine swapped in. It looks like it'd be a great idea, but it actually sucks. A NB Miata, except it's got an automatic transmission.
I can't believe I had to look to see if they actually made that.
did.
They made that.
It was a thing.
Oh,
Just the worst wasted potential. A Fiat X19 project car. It's not worth anything. You can't find any parts, and it's just going to ruin your life. Or a 1997 Pontiac Grand Am. You didn't ask for it. It was free, and now you're stuck with it. And those are the selections I chose to sum up 2020.
Yeah, I had to debate between the Copart Volkswagen and the Pontiac Grand Am.
And
I settled on the Volkswagen.
I think I did the Volkswagen. No, I did the Fiat X19 actually.
I definitely did the Touareg, and I know Corey did too, because that is such a 2020 thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be great. 2020, aha!
Every one of these, with the exception of that Pontiac, sounds
All
like
the
something
holidays are weekends.
Yeah, you drive your 3.2 home, you park it the next morning, you get a cam crank correlation code in the morning, your air suspension's flat, the transmission starts lurching, and you hear the CV axles.
You should just. I really wish I had like a camera that just like watched, like that would just turn on as soon as a Q7 or a Touareg would pull in the lot at Good Karma. Because there's a dude that came in, we told him about a cam crank correlation code, and he goes, "Shit, like how hard is that to fix?" I'm like, "It's engine out. It sucks. You probably want to get a new one." And he's like, "I really like this truck. I gotta think about it." And he gets out there, he pulls it backwards, and I swear to God, the air suspension was working. It was in our shop. He pulls up to Broadway or not Broadway, whatever street it's on, and just the right rear corner just on the ground. Like I watch it just fall on its face, and he gets out. He goes, "What the hell?" I'm like, I just pop my head out. I go, "That's an air strut," and he goes, "How much is that?" I'm like, "About $1,200 a corner. You're gonna need all four, and you might need a pump." And he goes, "I think I'm gonna sell it." I'm like, "I think you should sell it."
Oof.
Yeah, it was bad.
So, I mean,
I think that sums up.
I'm surprised that the Grand Am won. I mean, like, you wouldn't want that. But
so we should actually explain what the votes were for. And yes, so
did I just blow it?
No,
Sorry.
it's all right. We'll go backwards on it because yes, the Grand Am did win by one vote. It barely edged it out, and actually, when I loaded up my SurveyMonkey thing, it was actually tied. So, yeah, the Grand Am, I think the reason is 2020 felt like 4 years.
Yeah.
Because you had quarter one, which was pre-COVID. You had quarter two, which was COVID. You had quarter three, which was
First quarantine.
No, quarter 2 was first quarantine.
Oh.
Quarter 3 was our Civil War that we had about. And then quarter 4 was the election nightmare. So yeah, it was 4 years. Every quarter of the year was just in a different year. So yeah, it's like that Grand Am. It just kept going. It wouldn't stop. It never ended, and every day was worse than the day before.
Was it at least an early quad 4 high output manual Grand Am?
And that's like a 3.1.
Oh, 3.1 for the 4T65.
Yep, that's bad. However, the Touareg did get second place, and then third place was the Fiat X19. I think the Fiat X19 got third place only because so few people know how much of a nightmare a Fiat X19 is.
Yeah, you want to buy one that runs and drives and is complete if you buy one.
Like, you're like, it's an affordable mid-engine Italian sports car. That is awesome. And then you actually get it, and it kind of looks a little funky, and you drive it.
But they're super light. They handle really well.
Yeah, and
they're actually
great.
fun if they
they're
work.
Great when they work, except the thing is, like, you bought this one, like, as a project car.
The photo you put in the survey was like, ooh.
Yeah, I needed the photos to match exactly the car. Like, I couldn't do or similar myself here.
That
I needed
car,
the actual car,
is the amount of people that have been financially ruined by X19s are probably hellaciously high.
Oh, it has to be 100,000%.
Because you see it and you go, oh, that looks so fun.
And you remember it from your childhood, too, when they were new and they were working. And they were genuinely, the press loved them when they came out because they're like 1,850 pounds.
They were great cars.
Manual, like plenty of power. They were cheap. But also, nobody knew how to work on them. And parts availability is just non-existent. So now,
especially now.
If you find one, make sure it's got all the parts on it, everything. Make sure it doesn't leak. Make sure it doesn't smoke. If you got all that going for you, you should be fine.
You should probably just buy it directly from Fiat.
Or like buy one that was in Europe where they have shops that could maintain these things. That might be smart. And then just bring it in because they're not expensive. And they're obviously plenty old to bring in.
Yes, you can legally import them. I unfortunately cannot scroll because my monkey sucks on my phone. Now, I wanted to talk about the best automotive story of 2020.
Okay.
And so our choices were Jason Torsinski's Changlina Mika, which got 0 votes at all. So, oh well.
Maybe that was the skipped.
Yeah, that must have been the skipped one. Jim Hackett stepping down from Ford got 1, which is great news. My story about the USDM Skyline being saved from the Idaho junkyard and brought to Japan got a shockingly large amount of votes.
I can't believe that was 2020.
I know, right?
Me neither.
It literally feels like it was 100 years ago.
I feel like that was one of our first stories.
Gone was from December and January, because he did that over New Year's.
God.
And actually, Gone was tied for first place with a story that was actually submitted from one of our patrons, Scott. This horrible, god-awful Kia Niro nightmare. It never ends.
It might have won had we done part 2 already.
Yeah, and we had not done part 2.
I talked to him this morning. I'm like, do you want to come on in 2 weeks and do a follow-up? He's like, well, yeah, Kia should have given me their follow-up letter at that point with their whatever. He's in arbitration now. It's a long story. But there's already so much stuff that's happened since then, and it's to the point now. It is hilarious.
It just keeps the situation just keeps getting even worse. Somehow I found a way to make it worse.
It just makes me feel good that I'm not the only person that deals with this.
Yeah.
No, it's somebody that's
blood related.
Yeah, exactly. It's a genetic thing.
Next episode, I have a very similar story, but much shorter, that happened at work the other day. It's great.
Fair enough.
I'll share it later.
Make sure to, you can key it into the notes if you'd like.
Actually, if you wanted to, why don't you share it really quickly? Because that's a pretty short story. It's just one guy having a nightmare of a day.
So
it's a totally you day.
That's relevant then.
This is a you day.
Let me listen to a day in the life of Eric Berger.
Right now, because of COVID and everything, and just because we're a small school in general, we don't have any extra teachers. We literally just have enough for the amount of students we have, and then sometimes when I come in, the first hour I'm in, while they're napping, I get everything that needs to get done. Otherwise, we're just with the students. And so the parents have our phone numbers in case they need to reach us, and Lisa, the toddler teacher, got a text saying,
Never mind.
hey, my husband lost his fob. Can you look for it?
I
And
thought you were
she's
going to say
like,
job.
No, fob.
no, fob.
It's key fob.
Key fob.
For
Right,
his,
no, I
his
understand.
push-button start car.
Yeah. And Lisa's
Normally I
like,
have one with me, but
you
not today.
know, I will do my best, but I'm the only one with 7 toddlers. Like, we're not going to go on a field trip right now, but, you know, I'll look when I can. And the husband sends an aerial photo of our school and circles where his parking spot was
Oh, no.
and sends it to her. And it was a good thing, though, because she was able to look out the classroom window to that spot, and she was able to find it from inside, but she wasn't going to bring all the toddlers out into the parking lot to look for it.
Sure.
Which
so-
also would have been hilarious.
Which
in
would
and
have
of
been
itself.
funny.
Like, that would have
And
been
so then-
perfect.
Like linked hands just like parading out the door.
Yeah, so she had to text them, like, I found it, but I can't go out and get it. And they're like, okay. And then my other coworker gets back from break, and like Lisa like pounds on the window, gets her attention, and is like pointing. So it's like back and forth between Lisa and my other coworker to find the
imagine
spot.
like a Curb Your Enthusiasm,
Yeah.
like Larry David trying to point at something.
Yeah.
It's just not working. The other person's just like they're understanding everything except for what they need to know.
Oh, it's
that.
Corbin Dallas and
Yeah,
Ray
exactly.
in
Yeah.
The Fifth Element.
Yeah, so
that.
exactly that. And so, like, it gets found, Sydney brings it in, and Lisa texts the parents saying, hey, we found it, you know, if you want it, like, come pick it up. And so he comes, picks it up, and then he picks it up and leaves. He's like, I'll be back for my kid later. Like, and we're like, okay. Like, in a very, like, rushed. And Lisa just assumed because they had a baby, like, earlier this week, that's why he's, like, so rushed. And he comes and picks up later, and he's like, Jana, Lisa, do you want to hear what my day was today? And we're like, yeah, what?
Somehow I don't think
it's-
we're going to have a choice.
It's already an Eric Berger day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far.
Oh,
So
yeah.
far. This is already an
And we're
average
like-
day in your life.
We're like, yeah,
Just stay
Tyler, what's
home.
going on? Like, what happened? Like, we're really confused. And he goes, yeah, so, while I was getting Ellie out of the car, my key fell out of my pocket. And, he didn't turn off his car because
Sure.
when they drop him off, they
Not
just...
the winter.
They
People
run in
leave
and
their
out.
shit
Yeah, it's
running.
like-
yeah.
yeah.
And he goes, yeah, but I stopped in the shop in North Loop for a gift card.
Which you turn the
And,
car off for.
When I went back to the vehicle, I checked my pockets and my key was gone. And I couldn't start my car back up.
In the car's defense, they, I think without fail, will warn you if you are putting the car into drive without the fob
They'll-
in the car.
What kind of cars do you have?
I think this was a BMW SUV.
It will say no fob detected, but
Doesn't
to
make
his defense, oftentimes the cars are full of shit and the fob is in your pocket and it'll still say that.
Yeah. So it's like
He's probably had the message before, but yeah,
it's there. It's
Yeah.
there. It's just in my left pocket, not my right.
right.
But he's like,
Sorry, correct.
but I wasn't too worried because, you know, I have one free tow a year, so I decided I would use that, and then I would just get the fob when we, like, because he was driving his wife's car, and he just has a Jeep, which doesn't have the press key. So
issue,
he's like,
yeah.
I'll just get it towed home, and then I'll just drive my other car, and it'll be fine. For 2 hours straight, he kept getting a call from the insurance company being like, oh, it'll be 15 minutes. And he goes,
For 2 hours. 15
For
minutes.
2 hours.
For 2 hours.
This is my day.
Yeah, this is literally your
and,
day.
you know, he can't be
This
inside
is when I had
right
Corey's
now
car
because
towed.
Of, like,
This
COVID
is literally
restrictions.
just your life.
So he was outside in the middle of North Loop for 2 hours getting
can't
phone
be in the
calls every
building.
15 minutes. And so he finally goes, you know what? At this time, Lisa had found the fob and we had retrieved it and brought it back inside. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to get an Uber, cancel the tow. I'm going to get an Uber to the school and pick up the fob and Uber back. No big deal.
And we should state that this Uber from North Loop to where this car is
See,
roughly 15 miles each way, probably during peak hours,
Yeah,
probably from downtown.
exactly.
Like, these are not cheap trips.
Also, we need to note that North Loop isn't a terribly walkable area, and it's very windy because all the buildings are tall,
and it's winter.
and it's winter. So it's like being in New York, where it's just like a constant gust. of
I'm
just
sure he was dressed for it.
Yeah, but still.
That was
And,
a joke. I'm sure he wasn't.
And so
This hits home, man.
he did the Uber trip, and he's like, at least that's better than a tow. And he gets in the car and he realizes he left his phone in the Uber.
This hurts because I've had so many days where I'm just like, I'm just gonna sleep right where I stand. Like, just call it good and try again tomorrow.
She's telling me this is just Eric's life.
Yeah,
This is just every day for Eric.
And he picked up his daughter at like 3:30 and he goes, yeah, I got an hour's worth of work done today. I need to go back to work.
After all that, now he has to work with his daughter at
And
home.
a newborn baby.
I can just picture the will to live voiding from this man's face.
It was so, like that story just
Yeah,
like,
good luck
made
getting an
my
Uber back to your car with your fob without your phone.
Oh God! So there you go.
Oh.
That was his day, and that was a totally.
Oh, it makes me feel good. It makes me
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah, you're not alone.
No.
It happens to other people as well. So, that pretty much that story. If I could get that, if that was told to us, that would have been on that list and probably would have won.
Oh yeah, had that been on the podcast before just now,
Oh yeah, that would have totally won because that's just the worst possible day for commuting ever.
this is like half of the Nero saga compressed into one day.
Yeah, literally. Like it's
And for like for no good reason.
yeah, none of this should have happened. This didn't have to happen. So, anyway, Scott's he is tied. So let's give it to Scott just because he's a patron, and
And
I
he
think-
doesn't own an instrument case.
I think we
No.
should also have a new rule going forward that if you're a patron and you submit a question and it is tied,
Yeah, you get the tiebreaker.
Yeah, you get the tiebreaker. Yes, that will be our new rule moving forward. Now, on to the next question. Is the final one that we had for the audience.
Hold on, I screwed up the web browser.
Is okay. I brought it up as well. What is the best enthusiast/driver's car in 2020 for fun per dollar? The selections were E46 3 Series, NA Miata, Fox Body Mustang, or other. Please specify. If you didn't specify, you were automatically given the Mitsubishi Mirage as your choice. So, actually,
I skipped this question because I did not want to partake.
so you were the one that voted for the Mirage. I thought it would have been Kua. Here
No,
I
I
am.
just skipped it.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
did-
even answer.
Oh, you didn't answer it? Okay. Then yeah,
So you're the one
somebody actually wrote in Mitsubishi Mirage, so that's good. So they didn't have to, but they chose the Mirage.
I didn't see that.
It is, if you scroll down, other please click responses.
I had it collapsed.
Yeah, and it's down there. It's the very last
Oh,
one. 2020 Mirage.
Sim racing cockpit.
And so actually, since the E46 3 Series got 3 votes, and that put it in third place.
And I would have voted for that had I not keyed in a response.
Yes, and then other please specify was in second place. So I'm gonna go through each of the responses that we have here. So we have the Mitsubishi Mirage, the Sim Racing Cockpit, which I think in 2020 is probably the best enthusiast vehicle.
And you guys should try mine now that I have real pedals.
Yes.
I really would love to.
Dude,
actually.
the pedals are like, people are like, oh, it'll take the biggest difference. I'm like, yeah, you're full of shit.
Can you download the Peugeot 504 and then I will drive the Peugeot 504 in Assetto Corsa through some racetrack.
I will see if it's on the
It
mod
is.
cars.
It is.
If it, then yeah, then you can take it up Pikes Peak.
Perfect. Yes, that's what I want to do. All right.
I've been doing a lot of Pikes Peak lately. I'm
I
getting
just wanna
way better at
drive.
it.
A Twingo.
Janice wants to drive.
We're gonna have to get pedal extensions probably for you because the
I'll
seat
just-
is fixed.
Oh. I'll
So
just
Or
sit
we can
on
put a
the-
bunch of pillows behind you. That might work.
Yeah, or I'll just
everything.
sit on the
Everything is
rails.
supposed to be like a Miata for you. It's just the worst seating experience for you.
I would move it, but it's like on the sim racing cockpit, everything's bolts. Like
Ah.
it's super rigid, which is what you need.
This is why I want to make one and I want to put it in my garage and I literally just want to get like an old shitbox CRX and cut it in half and just cut
Yeah.
get half of the cockpit, slide it up against my wall, put a TV where the windshield is, and then use the speakers in the car for sound.
I would like to do that, and I could, and even like make the Arduino for the dash or whatever.
Yeah.
What I could do is I've still got my G29 set. We could you guys could both do Pikes Peak at the same time.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be
Because
very
then
exciting.
it's infinitely adjustable for you.
Perfect. There we go.
I'm too small for anything.
Yes.
That's fine.
Now, the other selections were the Volvo 740. I imagine Darren Brook probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
That's
great car. I'm not
it must
gonna
have had to be Darren Brook or Taylor Finger that did that.
Oh.
Nobody else would
Yeah,
have ever
you're right.
selected that.
You guys gave yourself away.
Yeah, it had to be one of them. The Toyota 86, which is, yes, that's a very good car. I would say that...
If you can get one that's got a receipt for a timing case and it's under 10 grand,
yeah,
that's a
if
good
you
car.
Get one for super cheap. I think like if you got one in Copart and you got an engine for really cheap, yeah, that'd be a good car.
Or if you just straight up get it cheap enough and you start it cold and it doesn't rattle.
Yeah,
Probably
that might be
alright.
it. A C5 Corvette.
Good car.
Yeah, that's a good car. I'm not gonna lie. MR2 Spider.
That was my vote.
That was yours, yes.
And the only reason I put
really
that in,
good deal. That's a great
they're
deal.
about twice as much as a good E46, but they are easily twice as much fun to drive.
They are the most underrated car. Period.
Yeah, I should probably buy another one.
I highly
I think you
recommend
should
buy
buy
that.
3 more.
You should buy every generation MR2 while you still can.
Yeah, I've told myself in the past, I've never like publicly said it, but like if another sunroof SW21 in red
Shows up.
I'm buying it.
I'd also highly recommend a supercharged AW11. Just
I
like
do. An 88 supercharger in white would be awesome.
You could actually create a really good car collection of classic Toyotas with just MR2s
I could.
for under $30,000 and have 3 cars.
The problem for me is, always has been and continually will be, space.
Don't you have that storage area?
It's full.
Of what?
Cars.
I see.
The S55's there, the SL's there, the M5's there, the pontoon's there,
Oh, the pontoon, yes.
the utility trailer there, the jet skis are there, Brexit's there, Mr. Wags is there, the
You need
850's
to get
there,
an
and the
abundance
blue
of
M3
lifts.
is there.
There's all this like vertical space that you haven't used.
We're planning to build a mezzanine in there, though.
Why don't you build a second level of parking?
That
Doesn't work.
doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Like
not?
it doesn't. No, it doesn't work.
I don't understand.
Okay, I established like 5 years ago, I think it was right about the time I was losing the Plymouth shop. I'm like, I can't get down below 8 cars. Because it was like, I need a wagon. Like, I'm not selling like the core group of cars that are my dream cars.
Yeah.
I need a convertible. I need like a winter daily. And like, I worked it out. I'm like, there's nothing that at least I own that can fill in like 2 of these things.
Yes.
It's like, I need 8 cars. I can easily exercise 8 cars a year. But like I'm at almost double that now, and it's like, well, yeah. Oops.
I'm at.
So what you're saying is somebody needs to buy you another garage just for MR2s.
No, I'm saying I need to start making hard decisions on if I really want something. I
I'm
need
only
to
at 7.
pick a car to get rid of.
I'm only at 7, so I'm good.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got. Anytime somebody's like having this crisis about like, oh, too many cars, I'm like, fuck, no, you don't, bud. You're a lightweight.
Yeah, you're.
Keep her going.
Make me feel really
Scrub.
good.
I know, every time I go, Ryan, you gotta get rid of big quarts before you get a new car. I look at other people and I go, oh,
Yeah,
it's
like
not
Darren.
that bad.
Darren lives in Seattle.
Yeah.
He just fills his entire fucking, or not. Yeah, he lives in like somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and he just fills up his entire block with bad cars.
Yeah.
And, like it's not even like, it's not even like he like that they're aesthetically pleasing. Like they're objectively like the only people that love it are people that love
Mothers
other
love cars.
Yeah, that love
Yeah.
other bad cars
Yes.
like us.
Oh, if we drove through, we would stop.
Yeah.
I would use the park anywhere button to investigate.
I found another person that's like that actually.
Oh, we
Reese-
should have them on.
Yeah, we should. He's actually be coming through as we give me some EF parts. Let's
do it.
I think in early spring. But anyway, Reese's boyfriend, Dylan, he was down in, I don't know, he was out in the sticks, like a couple states over in Ohio or something.
Oh, I still have this too.
And he's got a abundance of Isuzu iMarks, Chevy Spectrums, and Nissan Stanza wagons.
I
Like,
want
he
to
really,
discuss Isuzu engines with him.
he's a cool guy.
Yeah, I
We had a
know.
good conversation.
And then after I found out the Fiat and the van can fit in the driveway, I was like, all right, okay, it's not that bad.
No,
I can fit.
there's no problem.
Yeah, in like
I see no problem here.
yeah, and then also there's that gay bar that's like right behind my house, and they have a whole parking lot that's not being used. And I feel like I'm like, hey, do you want to make it look like your business is more successful than it really is? I can park some of my cars in your driveway, because that's a trick that
Right now, maybe, but
that is
it's worth trying.
That's a trick that Bill taught me. Is that if you want to make when the coffee shop was slow, he'd pull some of the customer cars and parts cars from our back lot and park them in front of the coffee shop. So if you're like, wow, there's people at the coffee shop, I should go there.
They're open.
They're open. And then
What's the biggest thing? Like, I'm not sure if they're open.
It literally works.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like if you see like there's only 2 parking spots in front of this business, you're like, perfect. I have a perfect spot right here, and they take it.
Just
Yeah,
busy
he
enough.
park a van in front of the shop quite
all
often,
the time.
and that's. I mean, I knew it was his van, but I'd still be like, oh. Cute. He has the van parked in front of the shop. That's really cute.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go say hi to Liz today.
It's a really, really brilliant idea. And even like today, like I'll drive past and go, wow, they're pissed. Wait a minute. Do I recognize these cars? But actually, it's a genius like tactic. Because
I will admit fully to like if I haven't been somewhere before, especially,
Yeah.
and I drive by, I'm like,
And the
it's
parking lot's
probably
like-
not open.
if the parking lot's like empty, like if it's a
Yeah.
restaurant and the parking lot's empty,
No,
do you
no,
wanna
I don't
do
want people to look at me when I walk in.
Yeah.
No, like, but if you go out there and like you have to like fight for parking, like you're like, all right, what's going on in here?
Exclusive.
Then you go in and there's like nobody in there, and you're like, perfect. you don't even connect the dots. Like you're just excited now. So you are in the door. You are there for it.
The brain's just like stabbing 2 extension cords together, and it's happy.
Well, and like also he'd park the cars that were for sale directly in front of the shop, so you'd like
That's
go
a
to
very
walk
good point,
in,
Mhm.
and then you'd see a beautiful Volkswagen for sale, and you go,
I would love this cabrio, and we're like, we'd love to sell it to you. Please.
I have a Touareg. Oh.
Well, we'll give you
$1.
We'll give you a car. Why don't you,
Here's
why don't
$1.
you- Why don't you
Please
buy
leave.
that car? You give us money, we'll give you a car.
Anyway,
So,
that's
anyway.
the 940 digression, whatever it was.
Moving back onto the best enthusiast driver's car. Everybody else had their weirdo responses. However, the overwhelming winner for first place was the NA Miata. And I can't complain because that's a very accurate statement saying that the NA Miata is probably the best driver's car per dollar that you can get right now.
It used to be, but you can still buy them cheap, but like it's not a car you'd want to buy cheap anymore.
You can still get them for
If
you can get
they're
a good
broken.
one. You can get a good one for $5,000.
Oh yeah.
Like easily. And that's the thing is like then when you look at other $5,000 cars, you really have to sit there and justify, is this more fun than a Miata would be at this price point?
No. And the thing is, like, the E46 is a little cheaper for, like, a 335
And that's the
speed,
thing, yeah.
but it's also not quite as fun as an NA Miata.
And that's
so
the thing
it's
is like when you get to the E46, it's like if you get lucky, you can get one. Like if you get the sport seats, maybe you get some guy that's a real asshat and doesn't know they've got a ZHP.
What you
like,
want to
something
look,
like
no,
that.
you want a ZSP, an 01 or an 02, but what the real ticket is you find one that was owned by somebody who cares and it's got like 345,000 miles on it, because it just straight up doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's absolutely irrelevant on the E46. I think that's why it'd be such a good driver's car. Is like you get I'd say 60-70% of the Miata fun.
And you also get rear seats and a trunk, so like it
But
really depends on what you
get,
need
you
it
get
for.
3 times as much actual versatility and the actual livability of the car. So if you were getting this,
Yeah, if
as
it's a weekend
your-
fun car.
if this is your car, E46.
Get an E46.
If it's a weekend fun car, yeah, Miata's
Miata.
a perfect,
Yep.
and that makes perfect sense. And that's
Yep.
kind of why I'd say kept this question a little vague because I
So,
wanted people to
Just
justify
other
that.
categories is wrong.
Well, except for the Mirage.
That's true. The Mirage is still the best car.
Yeah, I mean, it costs you $100 a month to have all the fun in the world.
Scott sent me 80,000 links this week, but
Of course he did.
I had him defining. So I'm like, on the phone it's too hard to click a link. He's like, well, it's a carbon calculator for like figuring out when your car becomes like carbon neutral or whatever. And there's an EV section, and there's a gas section,
Yes.
and the Mirage manual just obliterated
Yes!
the gas
I
section.
love
like
that.
it had just like hugely lower cost of ownership than anything else on
It's
sale.
a great vehicle. I love the Mirage. Everybody should. It's one of those things.
When it came out, I hated it. Now I adore the Mirage.
And this is the thing is it's the same way I'd like win people over to Honda. They say, well, that car sucks. I'm like, have you driven it? And they'd say, no, I just know it sucks. I'm like, you go drive it and you get back to me. And then like 2 or 3 years later, they get back to me and go, hey, I drove a really clean EG and it was just a 1.5. And I get it. I totally understand.
Yep.
And like you had the exact same experience in high school. You weren't a fan of them, and then you got into one. You're like, this is amazing. Like a good Honda is like
even like a crappy Honda is honestly, it drives really well.
They're
but like
great
and then
cars,
driving Kua's Mirage.
It's
and
just one
like
of those things
it's just
that-
such a happy car.
yeah, like you can't not like it. Like
It's like it's Fiat 500 syndrome. It's like you haven't tried it.
yeah, and that's the thing is like, and with the Mirage it's one of those things where it's like if the Mirage was the price of a Fiat 500, it would not make sense.
No,
No, it'd
but
be a
it's
dumb purchase.
way cheaper.
It is so
You
cheap.
get 2 more doors, so you can YouTube with it, and that's
It is one of the absolute cheapest cars on the road, and it's way more fun than it should be.
and 3 cylinders do sound better than 4 cylinders.
They really do.
Yeah.
Like it is so much easier to make a 3-cylinder sound cool because it just sounds angry. And whenever
Your brain is just trying to figure out what the hell's going on the whole time.
Like,
But the
why-
4 cylinders, like this is the 4 cylinder.
Because when you have 3-cylinder, it sounds like a flat plane, or it sounds like a cross plane 4-cylinder. Like if you think
No,
about,
it sounds like a V6, but you're not sure which cylinder's missing.
But what I mean is like, you know how like a cross plane V8 is like all lumpy and like rough.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like that. Like if you imagine like. If you say, yeah, and a flat plane V8 sounds like really smooth like a Ferrari, and a cross plane sounds like a muscle car.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
got the lumpy nature to it.
yeah,
I
and
guess.
then so like when you hear a 4-cylinder, you're like, this obviously is like this must be a flat plane or something. I don't know. And then you get
There's
into
no
the,
like secondary pulse to cancel
yeah,
out.
there's not and it's like with the 3-cylinder, it sounds lumpy and cool. Like it's actually very cool
I
sounding.
want to know
engine.
how many times lumpy was just like put into
At least a dozen. So yeah, the Mirage is always up there. Some quick questions. What would you say is the best collector car of 2020?
Can you? Okay, so like you're talking like used stuff. You're talking new stuff.
Collector, just like something that you would buy as an investment.
Okay, so something that's currently old and
Yeah.
you should buy it now.
Yeah, something that was like the best classic car / collector car purchase that you could have made in 2020.
E39 M5.
Oh, yeah, that's actually very close. I was
I
actually
hate saying it because Haggerty just released a video yesterday on it, but
well, you already own one.
why do you think I own it?
Well, yeah, but now you can just talk it up.
I'm just gonna keep driving it. It's a nice car.
Um,
and de-ricifying it.
I would say the best one. I'm actually going to go with the BMW as well. I'm going to say an E46, just of any sort.
It's collector eligible. I'm
Yeah.
gonna apply. I was at the DMV December 28th, and they're
Oh,
like,
no.
"No, it goes on the model year, not the production." I'm like, "Bleh, "Fine, just give me
only-
all these other
the
collector
only
plates."
state that does that.
So I was gonna get plates for. I'm gonna call him Beck because his license plate's BEK, but the blue M3.
Yeah.
it's an 01.
I think Beck is a good name for
I
it.
think so too. Beck is
Oh
fine.
yeah, and it's kind of like the musician Beck.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, buy yourself like a 2000 BMW. It doesn't matter what it is, unless it has a V8, in which case make sure it doesn't have badge.
Yes. And then,
But they're all good.
yeah, and so when I say like, literally any E46, it's not automatic and has some sort of maintenance record of any sort. And if it's an M3, just make sure that the rod bearings are done, and you're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or budget for doing them
Yeah.
if it doesn't.
It's one of those two things.
A good PPI. A 2001
good
BMW with a
PPI.
PPI.
Yeah, that-
with a,
that
and
is-
a
God, I
manual.
can't
There you
believe those are that old.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah.
go. I was in there the other day. I was changing out the radio, which is a fun story about how I had to find that damn thing. I'm like, I remember vividly when these cars were brand new
Yeah.
and in the press, and I was like, looking
Yeah.
at them and like
I remember.
this
I
car
remember
is
when
20 years old.
I remember when I was able to spec out an E36 on BMW.com, and then I spec'd out the brand new E46 on BMW.com.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is way cooler.
Yeah, because you're looking at like a 99 M3, and then you're looking at E46. I'm like,
So-
wow.
And then my other quick question was, are there any answers that you would put in their stead for the audience questions, like car of the year, stuff like that?
No, I looked at I did this several days ago.
Yeah, you did yours.
And I did it as early as I could just to make sure that there was nothing that I wanted to add. I mean, Scott had a good point with the GMA T50, but the Aston Martin, really, it's under the same vein. So
Yeah.
we could have put like any new V8
yes.
or V12, whatever, manual hypercar. No, I think it's pretty good.
Okay,
I mean, the
solid.
one that stands out for me, honestly, is the Yaris.
The Yaris
GR.
is the best thing. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just the best thing in the world to get right now. So.
If you can buy one, but I mean, but you can't. But you can buy a Corolla GR. So like maybe two different. We have to give it to the Corolla so we can
the
buy
Toyota
it.
GR.
The Toyota. Yep. There you go.
Just the GR lineup.
Oops.
Cars
I finally did it
of the year. Yeah,
today.
you did it. All right, well, cool. Let's move on to some of these topics. We have a lot of topics.
We
and
do.
not a
We
lot
don't
of
have to
time.
do them
Yeah.
all, but yeah.
So let's start with your first one.
Well, hold on. It's gonna me slow. I really
Okay.
messed with.
Would
the
you like
web
me to
browser.
do mine first?
Sure.
All right. So the first one I'm doing is NASCAR is actually having one of their drivers take a driver sensitivity training.
Is it because of the Bubba Wallace thing?
No, it was It's the best way to put it.
I don't watch sports good ball.
So Haley Deegan, who's a NASCAR truck racer,
Oh,
Is this
no
a lady?
surprise.
yes, she was on Twitch Live and called somebody the R word, which is a
Oh.
word.
So the opposite of advance on ignition?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And that's it's one of those things where that is the most commonly used slur right now, I think, in the American lexicon. And
Was it used to actually demean somebody?
Yes.
Oh.
I know.
So she was referring to somebody that she
Yeah.
had met before?
She's like, "Oh, this person's so R word. Why they need to get off the server?" And that's the issue. Is that like it's one of those things. It's not quite one of those words where you immediately get chastised like the N word or something.
All right.
But it's one of those words where it's like
If
well,
you're high profile enough, you really can't.
yeah, and
do
it's like,
that.
and that's the thing is like if you're a race car driver, like yeah, you really shouldn't be doing that. So
No,
I know we've been.
I've gotten myself in some hot water. I mean, I will
you've-
admit
yeah.
I use this word a lot.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where it's not an okay thing to say, but it's also you aren't on the public grandstand like that, and
Well,
you're not
there's
not using
that.
it for someone, like to demean someone.
And the language changes over time. So
Yes.
unfortunately, I mean, like I'm not condoning what she did, but you look at the usage of a lot of these words. I'm like, this word's unfortunately caught in kind of a transitional period
Yes.
where like it really doesn't. It's not used anymore to actually discuss somebody with mental deficiencies.
Yeah,
It's used to call somebody who's being an idiot.
It's a word where I would say in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
like has really gone from being something that's like kind of like a sticky word
Yeah.
to like a dude really kind of word.
And in
It's
20
like
years,
that.
it'll be
It'll-
like shit.
I think in 20 years using that word will be the same as calling somebody the N word or something like that. Where I think that it will become a more strongly chastised.
Oh,
term.
you think it's gonna get worse?
I think it's gonna get much worse.
Oh, I think it's gonna get better.
Well, I think the reason is that word, because it's so often used to describe people with disabilities. I think that's why it's gonna get more along the.
So you think it's gonna go the FA word route,
Yeah.
not more the FU word?
Yeah,
route?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be curious to check back in 20 years and see where we ended up, because I think it's gonna turn into a nothing word.
I think it's. I think
Over
as
time.
far as referencing people, it will get worse
Yeah.
for sure. Because
But
I mean,
but
it's also.
I
one
don't
of those
think
things
it's
where-
currently used for that, and I think that's why the word.
And
is
that,
going to
and that's the
change.
thing is like, she was using it to reference someone, to call somebody a derogatory term for somebody that has got
Yeah, that's not good.
disabilities. That's really bad. So she totally deserves to take her sensitivity training.
Yep.
Because she was using it in like the worst way possible.
Great.
So that's was one of the things I wanted to talk about, and how I think this is the first thing we've ever shared from ABC Sports, and
I
hopefully
think
ever
so
will be.
too, because usually when I see that at the top of the screen, I accidentally clicked something. But anyway, on a complete, I can't segue, so I'm just gonna start talking
That's
about
fair. Well, how do you segue from that?
it. You can't really.
You
So
just can't.
the opposite of R word is ingenious, and I learned while on a YouTube tangent a couple days ago when the Chevy Volt came out 11 years ago. I'm like, that's a really cool thing. It's like a diesel electric locomotive. It's got a gas engine that can power a generator to power your electrical system when it runs out of, electricity,
Yeah.
but it's an EV. That's kind of true, but I was always under the impression, and I'm sure I've even said this, the gas engine has no way to directly motivate the wheels.
Does it?
It does. Not on a first-gen Volt, but on a second-gen Volt it does.
Oh, huh.
So I have up here on the screen, and I'm sorry if you're an audio listener, I will describe this as best I can. So the first-gen and second-gen Volts are Chevy Cruises.
Yes.
They start life as that. In the engine bay area, you've got a fixed amount of space for crash testing and just room for all of these things. So there is a typical four-cylinder engine, and then there is a transaxle. The transaxle, which looks just like an automatic or manual transaxle with 6 large AC cables coming out of it. Essentially what it is, it's 2 motor generator AC units. So it's got 2 big motors in it. Each one of them are 3-phase, so that's why you got the 6 wires. There's also a differential, which goes to the front drive axles. What this does in a typical usage case, both of these motors are locked together with a clutch, and they drive the front wheels directly. The gas engine is completely disconnected unless a certain set of circumstances or temperatures are met. But if you're going over a certain speed, another clutch engages, the engine starts up, and it drives directly with the electric motors and the gas engine.
So they on the second generation they turned it into like a Prius.
They did.
Okay.
So it became no longer a range extended electric vehicle. It became a plug-in hybrid.
Yeah. Which
And
is totally different.
Volt owners are like ass mad. I didn't realize this. They're ass mad about that designation. It's like, not a hybrid. It's a Rex. Like, it's an i3 Rex. I'm like, yeah, it's not, though, because an i3 Rex has a motorcycle engine on the side of it, which isn't directly connected to anything.
The i3 Rex literally is just it's a generator.
Right.
It's a gas generator.
And the reason why they did this is the efficiency between... So on the first gen Volt, one of these 2 motor generators was pretty much always just directly connected to the gas engine. And if you ran out of juice, your gas engine would be charging with this one smaller motor, and it would be driving it straight to this bigger AC motor. But there's a lot of loss in charge. Anyway, so they were complaining about the fuel economy, essentially, so that's why they added another clutch pack. But... the second gen Volt is a great vehicle, and I had no idea.
It's just a plug-in hybrid. It's just an Outlander.
It does.
I could see why I'd be pissed. So I guess in other news, I imagine by 2022 we'll be hearing a story about how the Chevy Bolt now comes with an LS. So
Rich Rebuilds is putting an LS in a Model S right now.
I saw that. Yes.
I'm following with great interest.
Now I want to go back to NASCAR real quick because I actually had another note here that I totally forgot to mention.
Okay.
NASCAR. By actually making Haley Deegan do sensitivity training and actually trying to be proactive, they missed the mark a little bit.
Why? Because they haven't done that in the past for anything else?
Yes, and in their rule book, the term they use for disabilities is handicapped conditions. Jan, can you describe that term for a second? Because you come from a special needs household, so I think know firsthand.
As being somebody who is significantly disabled, handicap is just like
really
one of those terms. Like Ryan will be like, "Oh, there's a handicap spot," and I go, "Accessible parking."
It's a bad term.
Because like,
it's like calling black people the color folk.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like that bad.
And I mean, it is on a case by case purpose, but just
it's bad. You don't throw that term around.
No, and again, people with disabilities are different, and some people might think that term's okay, and so it's not. But you really,
it's not the official.
It's again, it's a case-by-case basis, so somebody as big as NASCAR should not be using it. It should be...
There should have been a lawyer that looked at that and went,
Yeah, just because that's...
The lawyer was a chicken.
Yeah.
I only found this out when I actually read their terminology from their rule book. This wasn't in the NBC ad or story. I actually read through this because I was in the bathroom when I saw this. I'm like, it took a little bit longer than the original. Yeah, it took a little bit longer than I had anticipated. So I started reading the NASCAR rule book about this to see if I can get some more dirt on this. And I found this gem.
I mean, it comes from the fact that everyone does everything as much as they can to avoid the word disabled. Yeah. But people with disabilities are there's nothing wrong with having a disability. Being disabled isn't a bad thing. Just it's able-bodied people that think disabled is bad.
The problem is you need to come up with a word that you can, a simple word that's important, that you can teach to the simple folks of the South.
And disabled, there you go.
And that's the problem. That's why all these just room temperature IQers in the South are gender pronouns. I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but shut the hell up.
You don't know what you're talking about.
It's because all these like handicap and whatever all these fancy words come from able-bodied people.
Handicap's different than disabled. So
it is, and I'm just saying that people much rather, like an able-bodied person much rather call somebody handicapped
but a disabled
a disabled person is like, no, I'm disabled. Call
and
me
so
disabled.
this is the thing. This is where the issue comes from, is the term
Call them persons with disabilities.
the handicap means is that this person needs to have their life made easier for them. They need to be given a lower set of
We already
achievement
put electric
points.
scooters at the Walmarts.
Like the term handicap is like a really
Funny
hairy
joke there,
term.
because only fat people use that.
Yes,
And
and
being fat is not a handicap.
No, it's not. It's just
you being
fat.
dumb.
So
Oh my god. That's just, I haven't
wild.
heard that term
I know.
in an official stance for a very long
I
time.
honestly, the last time I'd heard
Thanks,
the
NASCAR.
term
Stay classy.
handicapped, I think was in the early 90s.
Yeah, in like some movie.
South
outdated
Park, I think,
movie.
is the last time I heard it.
Yeah, it's not a term. Like it's literally like what? Like this? When was this written?
It just feels dirty saying it because it's just like, ugh, that's not the right word.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's just okay. That's interesting.
Why don't we?
I'm not surprised with NASCAR. But
You know, they're trying, but they're
missing the mark.
I feel like this is when I read that.
Bless
in
their hearts.
When I read that in
Yeah.
their rule book, I'm like, what else? What? Of course,
Makes you want to
that's-
read the whole thing, doesn't
like,
it? See what else is in
yeah,
there?
like I'm like, this is the most fitting thing. This is the most fitting term that NASCAR could have possibly used for just who NASCAR is.
It just shows
Oh,
how
man.
far behind the times they are.
So far.
It's so bad.
Well, I mean, it
Oh,
was in 2020, wasn't it? Where like the drivers they were like trying to lynch the Bubba Wallace guy
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
I'm just like, come on, guys.
It's just NASCAR. Just the worst.
Anyway, on another, I can't tangent from that at all.
Yeah, no, you can't. You literally can't. You can't cope with these like swings that we're taking.
I saw a story probably a week and a half ago, and it was to the point where I set a reminder for 11 a.m. today to put this in my topic because it was so good. There are photos circulating a lot of the popular automotive media sites right now of a small regional Canadian airline that has hacked up Geo Metros and Dodge Neons as their airport tug vehicles.
Are they
I
using
love
Metros as
that.
well?
Well, that's a Metro right there.
No, that's a neon.
Is it?
Yeah, they're all first gen neons.
Oh, okay. I mean, it says Neons, but like the middle one here looks like a Metro.
It might have been maybe. It's got Metro wheels on it, but I
Just
mean,
the
I
front
think it's-
overhang looks Metro-y to me, but maybe that's just because
I
they
think it's a
pulled the
neon.
bumper
Yeah,
off.
because the bumper's hanging off. Also,
Okay.
these cars look like they found them in a junkyard.
Well, first gen Neons. Where else are you finding them right now? They've probably been in a junkyard for 10 years.
God, that's hilarious.
But they're just hacked up, and yeah, they even look like airport equipment. But I mean, why not? They're probably super cheap.
it's got to be cheaper than a tug.
I can't believe this is allowed. Like,
Yeah.
there's obviously no FAA because it's
It's Canada.
Canada. Not
But that's hilarious.
But I'm just like,
I love that.
I couldn't find any videos of them in motion, but this is
darn.
strangely endearing. Like, I just want
It
all
is.
tugs to be neons now,
I wish the neon would come back as just the neon. Like, and that's the thing is like people.
with the original advertising campaign.
Yeah, that's the only picture I'd seen so far, and I loved that. It's just this dude in the snow with a neon with no doors.
Even their luggage carts are just like, it's like scaffolding with
It
it's
looks
just scaffolding.
like a body cart.
it looks like they just robbed a Northern Tool.
But I mean, a tug, I don't know what those things cost right now, but they cost a fortune. I mean, they're really expensive.
Well,
And they will last
yeah,
way longer,
yeah.
obviously, than a neon, but
Well, it's a neon.
I want a tug.
Yeah, I would like a tug too. If we ever find a cheap tug, we should buy it.
my boss has a 1947 Clark tug with a 3-speed manual.
Awesome.
This thing is unforgivable.
Where was it? I was on the JDM auction updates Facebook page where they just like list cars have gone through Japanese auction,
Yeah.
and there was a Japanese delivery truck with a 5-speed column shift manual.
Oh.
I want to
Yes.
drive that so
Yes.
bad. I've never driven a 5-speed column shift,
It'd be easy.
and I would love to. It sounds like the greatest thing in the world.
Well, and this reminds me of, because like the USPS
Bang
is
shifting a column
having
shifter.
Yeah, they're
a
in the
hard
yeah.
time right now, so they're having to rent vehicles. And so like my director's husband is a postmaster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always keep, like, I never ask her how her weekend is. I go, how was your husband's weekend? Because it's been an interesting time for them because he particularly watches over the district that was kind of just burnt down earlier this year.
Yeah, that was his post office, was
Yeah, he's
the
in
Lake Street post office.
Oh, okay.
Because like
Yeah,
he's
that one's not there
he's
anymore.
postmaster of
Now
Minneapolis.
the
St.
Kmart
Paul.
is, though.
Oh,
And that's what they're using.
Yeah, so I keep asking her like how it's going because he's been like tasked to deal with this neighborhood as an African American man. They're like, "Oh, you're our black post officer master. You can take care of this neighborhood." And he's like, "All right, I will." And so they were delivering
Also, that's
mail.
like a really problematic way to give him the job, but okay.
I don't know if that's the way, but there's
it
two
seems like- it
postmasters,
seems
and
like
he's
that,
the one
yeah.
that's dealing with this neighborhood.
Sorry,
the most.
we were talking over each other.
Sorry.
But
No, she was just pointing at the microphone for the
Sorry.
first time today, so I had to turn it down a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I'm yelling. But anywho, so
I
like
gotcha,
like they were doing mail out of like basically out of their trucks for the longest time, and now they're using the Kmart that's in the middle of
Yeah.
Lake Street, and now he's having to deal with the whole Capitol situation right now.
This poor guy.
So
Very
he's
fun.
had to reroute all of his trucks from
This
around
guy's
the
been just
Capitol.
given the worst assignments.
Yeah, but they're like,
Yeah,
so-
you get Frogtown and you get Phillips in Powderhorn Park.
I'm sure he
Oh,
gets.
by the way,
I'm sure he gets more. This is just all that we talk about. And then like, so they have like rental cars, and Ryan's like, why are they using Mercedes? And I'm like, because they're having to rent out
They're
all these
literally-
different vehicles.
They're using Mercedes mattresses, and they removed the TriStar, and they put on the
post office symbol.
the
No,
post
they
office
bought
symbol.
those.
Oh, they actually bought those ones.
Yeah, they just did a huge contract for them.
But yeah, they also are literally renting out cars, like,
Oh, yeah.
He was
I believe it.
personally delivering mail.
like, out of his
Cool.
own car. Like, it was.
A postmaster was personally delivering.
I don't think there's any federal funded thing that has more like can-do attitude anymore than that's like the
Yeah.
last remaining like 1950s mentality thing in the
Yeah.
government.
We're just gonna make it because they literally have
Rain
to.
or shine.
Like
Yeah.
they don't. They're underfunded, and though
Well,
it's
they
like
keep getting all their funding like just like allocated. They make plenty of money, but all the other government agencies siphon off all their profits.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, okay.
I guess I can't. I guess I just have to fund everything now.
Yeah, and I've
Great.
always loved the postal service, so it's fun seeing like the inside works and being like, so how's that going this weekend? And she's like, yeah, it's gonna be a long weekend for us because he has to make sure his postal workers are safe.
Safe, and that their building's not being burnt down, and that they're not getting assaulted by Boogaloo Boys. That, like,
2020 has
they
been
have a truck.
a year of very delayed package and mail, but
Yeah.
I haven't said a word about it.
I'm not going to complain about
No.
USPS. UPS, they can suck my ass.
Yeah,
But
UPS
USPS
sucks. Super
U-
expensive, crappy.
Yeah,
super
USPS,
slow.
everything USPS has to go through. I'm like, you know what? I understand.
They still get my packages to me relatively quickly.
I've had less
The
issues
only
with-
vehicle we've pulled up the street this year belonged to the post office
Aw.
because I just feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And
they
now-
can't. They literally can't afford snow tires.
Now that guy doesn't skip my street anymore in a snowstorm. So
There you go.
Aw.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
what you do. You help the post office, and
they
help
they
you.
leave signature confirmation packages. It's the best.
My post office guy, when I lived in St. Louis Park, I would give him Clorox wipes and hand sanitizer when he was delivering. Cause
That's like milk and cookies for Santa Claus.
Yeah, it was like in the early days of COVID, like when they literally didn't have any PPE.
Mm.
And so I was just like, you know what, dude, you're not touching your face for like 8 hours at a time. Why don't you touch your face for a
And he was
second?
one of the
Your
ones,
face needs touching.
Oh,
Oh my God, yes. Oh.
and he was one that delivered by foot.
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
that's- my neighborhood is too, except for packages. Weird.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, like, it's not like he doesn't like drive the truck up from house to house. Like he like.
It's
He
my
parks it
my
and does
mail
the
is
entire
foot
block,
carried,
yeah.
and then package service from USPS is another route.
Oh, interesting.
That's so odd.
Very efficient.
Now, moving on from the USPS, I would like to actually talk about something that Ben Shu sent to me, probably with you in mind. Actually, it was in
Yeah,
a group chat with him.
he sent it to a group chat
Yeah.
while I was driving in the middle of the snowstorm, and I always have my Waze on to make sure that I don't get distracted. And so like I had my Waze on, and I was driving to Ryan's house because I needed his internet to go see my therapist for the first time in a month and a half. Driving through a snowstorm, and then all of a sudden I see Renault pop up in my messages, and I go, oh,
Both
oh.
hands off the wheel,
Yeah.
into the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, oh no, I'm driving a Sienna. I gotta
So
not take my hands off the wheel.
Ben Chu sent me a new Renault EV prototype, which is the Renault 5 prototype. And it's a Renault
name
Le
sounds
Car.
familiar.
Yes, it's the Renault car, Renault 5 Turbo, like the Renault 5, turned into an EV. And that, so far, is my favorite concept of 2021. Because that
It's
looks
so pretty.
amazing.
I don't know about the 22-inch solid wheels, but yeah, other than that, I dig it.
It's also a concept. I mean, what are you going to do? But
Yeah, the
the
wheels are
body
too
the
big.
body itself is just perfect, though. I love it. I love how they got the taillights right. They got the roof line right. There's nothing I love more in a car than a strong roof line. And that is just, oh my God.
Has the correct number of doors.
I really want, I love how they blended in the rear doors on it. I really hope this comes to, go back for a second. Three lug wheels. Just like the Renault Le Car.
Excellent.
I love that. But this is such a cool car.
Good luck putting wheels on this thing.
But they actually make adapters for it, and there's actually a surprisingly large number of three-lug wheel manufacturers because of the 5 in the Le Car. So there you go. It actually works. This is such a cool car. I love it. I want this to actually come into production. I want
bet
it
it
to come to
will.
America.
I mean, since they put the entire DS brand into electrification, and it's owned by the same
God, it
company.
looks so good in the headlights. They just nailed it. Like, they really nailed that concept, looking like the original one. And it says hello.
Everyone gives
Hello.
manufacturers crap for just using a really popular design and then updating it a little bit. But I'm like, why would you
That's
not do that?
perfect.
Why are you messing with something that worked?
Hey, BMW, why don't you take an E30, update it a little bit? I bet it'll
Yeah.
sell really well.
Yeah, like, that would be a good idea. I like that idea. And
Like the Sienna. They just
that's what
keep
they did,
making
like-
it sexier.
I'm not mad with, and that's the thing. It's like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, I hate the modern Civic. I love the EF Civic. If they made a modern EF Civic,
Yeah.
I would buy it. Like, I
Well, even
know
not
that
just,
I
like-
like this thing.
Reproducing the old car, but just using all the stuff that worked Q-wise and feature-wise from the old car into a new one.
Now, does your entire lineup have to be that? No.
No.
But doing a,
Wait, so we shouldn't make a Mustang SUV, or?
No, we shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
but like, having a postmodern car dotting your lineup is not a bad idea, because
Right.
that also points to your heritage. Like, hey, don't worry, we know how to make a cool car.
Remember
We've
the one
made
time we
great things
dominated
before.
in this segment?
Yeah,
We're gonna do it
we've made
again.
great things before, and we're going to continue to make great things. Like, I like that. I enjoy good things. So there we go.
Yes.
All right, so did you want to touch on your very last topic
Yeah,
before we
it's a
head
quick
out
one.
today?
Yeah. So we've talked about Tesla's 18-day shutdown, which I think is turning into a little bit more than that now. But the reason why they're doing it is they are retooling for a Model S, Model X facelift. And news this week came out that they are now fire sailing the stock of existing S and X models. So, of course, confirmed. But I can't quite figure out if this is going to be a really, really huge revamp update where they change the hard points of the car, the glass, the doors.
Like an entirely different model update.
Right, or if
it's
they're
just
going
a
to do
facelift.
what they did in 2015, which is change the nose cone to the grill-less thing and then just touch up the
The
bumper.
Voldemort front end.
Yeah. Since yes. Since they're changing the type of battery cell, for sure. I don't know what they're going to, but I'm guessing it's going to be a 21700 like the Model 3, but with scupped ends on it, which means they're not. It's complicated, but
no,
they get a little bit shorter.
Yeah, they get shorter and they have a larger contact point. Yeah,
Yep.
we talked about that previously, actually.
Yep. I think that's what it's going to be, and I don't think they're going to make significant hardpoint changes to the car.
I'm hoping that they just surprise, change hardpoints, and their entire model lineup starts looking like the Cybertruck.
I don't think that's going to
I
happen.
want Sid Mead.
I hope that doesn't happen.
I would love that. I have this mental picture of Elon Musk sitting in his home with whatever Grimes or Grunge, whatever her name is, taking care of the
Oh,
SR-71 Blackbird baby, in the background, and he's sitting there with a Ouija board, seancing, Sid Mead to design his cars for him.
Grimes.
Should use more straight lines.
Yeah.
I don't think that's likely. It could happen.
I would.
I think that's possible.
With the way the world's going, that's the only thing that does not point at everything that America's becoming actually Cyberpunk 2077 by 2077. Because so far, everything else that's happening in America is really, like, everything's pointing to that as our future. And I'm like, you know what? I'm all in on this. Let's just do
Cyberpunk has got a petable cat in it, so I'm good.
that you can adopt.
I can adopt that guy?
Yes, you can. I found that out. I was playing it, and I got the cat. Nice. Yeah.
BRB, you're going to go play Cyberpunk.
It's pretty
Yeah.
great.
Found that out last night.
Yeah.
So anyway, once upon a time, Musk had said that he's not planning to replace the Model S ever.
It's
He's
gonna
just
look-
planning to constantly update it.
He's going to keep the body style looking the way it looks.
Didn't say that, but he's just said constantly updated. He said it's never going to be an obsolete product. I'm like, okay, well, when you say something like that in the past, unless things have changed, which it certainly could, because it's the world's most valuable publicly traded company,
Yes.
I think it's going to be bumpers, maybe trim, wheels for sure, powertrain for sure, battery for sure. I think they're going to completely redo the dash.
So you think that they're going to do like the Jaguar XJ, where they just designed it in like 1963?
I think what they're
continued
gonna
until
do
2003.
Is anything that is on the 2021 car, 2022 car rather,
We'll bolt
I
on.
could bolt onto mine.
Yeah, so they're just going to do the updates.
Yeah.
They're not going to actually.
I don't
change,
think they're
they're
gonna
not
change
going to
hard
actually
points.
change the chassis itself.
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
I'm into that. I love it when manufacturers do that. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
Turns them into Tinker Toys. It's what
But-
makes Subaru. Well,
Subaru, yeah.
I was gonna say great, but that's wrong. It's
It-
what
it's
makes
what makes
Subaru
Subaru,
Subaru.
yeah.
It's what makes Toyota great.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you look at like what makes people really like Jaguars is like they have their timeless design, like
Yeah.
the XJS and the XJS and the XJ. Like they
pretty
never
much all of them,
changed
yeah.
them ever.
The
Like,
XJ, yeah, it was like what 76 to 94.
No, it was literally the 60s. I think. I honestly think it like
The
came out.
XJ?
Yeah, I think the
Could be.
XJ came out in the 60s.
Wow.
It went from the Datsun 510 to the new Impala.
Yeah.
It went,
Yeah.
No, actually, sorry. Datsun 510 to second generation Toyota Prius. There you go. That will give you an idea of how long that car was in production using the same.
And what's
basic body
better,
style.
the the XK engine,
Yes.
because that was pre-Tri 5 through the first gen Prius.
That was 1948
Yeah.
until the first gen Prius. Yeah.
Yep.
That was pretty amazing.
That is a long-running engine, and they
Wow.
still never figured it out.
No, they never did. Well, it's British. They never intended on it. Anyway.
Great
on-
engine, but
on that bombshell that they might do some small things, I'd like them to keep it more or less the same, and the rest of their model lineup looks
it'll
like
keep
it
the
was-
car cheaper. Why not?
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, if the rest of their model lineup looks like it was designed by Sid Mead, I'll probably buy one eventually. And on that
You're
bombshell.
just hoping for the sand.